You are listening to the 2 and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's just a hassle for me to go and get plain tacos, so I just avoid it at all costs. If 7-Eleven had a drive-through, I would just be going around in circles.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the 2 and Out CFL podcast.
Now they have to kick it out, and they do!
Every week, Travis Currah.
Does anybody still care about this podcast?
And Brazilian Ty.
Hunters are people, too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable!
Ready, set, hunt!
And we are a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Brazilian Ty. Who is your go-to Mario Kart character?
Probably Luigi, which is weird because I'm an only child and I don't pick Mario.
And do you know why I'm asking this?
I have no idea.
Okay, do me a favor, Ty. Can you Google Mario Kart right now and tell me what the first result is?
Oh boy, is this NSFW?
It could be. It definitely
Google.
could be.
Mario Kart. What? Oh no! Now I get. Oh. Okay.
Either way, I'm a Wario guy all the way.
Oh, I'll be your Waluigi.
Join 2 and Out for CFL Fantasy and CFL Pick'em and show Currah and Ty what you got.
They are who we thought they were.
Just click cflfantasy.tsn.ca
Enough of talking about it. There has to be consequences.
and pick'em.cfl.ca.
All right. Week 15 already, man. It is flying by. Most teams got about 6 games left. So we start Friday Night Football. The Montreal Alouettes, they're sitting at 3-9. They're 4th in the East. And they're in Winnipeg, who are 10-point favorites, 5-7, last in the West. For Montreal, we've got Johnny Football named as starter. So I guess we could start on the Montreal side of things. You know what? It's not really a surprise that Manziel is named starter here. What kind of leash do you think he has, though? I'm thinking it's pretty long, and they're probably going to roll with him the rest of the year.
And I totally agree. I know it makes for terrible debate, but
Yeah.
like Pipkin didn't look all that great last week, and I think part of the problem with Montreal's situation, and we've talked about it, how they just haven't had a quarterback since Calvillo left, is that there's no consistency at the position either. Where Pipkin has the bad game last week, and Manziel is now in. Not a lot of opportunity to work through stuff. He had 2 good starts, won those 2 games, had 1 bad start, and he's gone. I know that they brought in Manziel and they paid a hefty price for him. At some point, they have to pick a guy and just roll with him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, too. I think a lot of the quarterbacks that have come and gone through Montreal since Calvillo, I don't think every single one of them got a fair shake. A lot of them, they were hurt, and a lot of them, a vast majority, do not have what it takes to be a CFL starting quarterback. But I think they've got a thing going now because Vernon Adams was back at practice. There's a guy that I think actually, if he sticks around, he could be a good quarterback. Here, Johnny Manziel, who knows what he has there. And then, of course, Antonio Pipkin. So all of a sudden, there are 3 quarterbacks there who have done something, have at least... Well, Johnny hasn't, but at least won some games in the CFL. We'll see what happens at running back for them this week. It just seems without Tyrell Sutton, that position just isn't very reliable when it comes to fantasy teams.
No, without a premier running back, it's really hard to pick a guy like William Stanback, who only averages 6.7 points in the games that he's played this year. Just makes it so tough to get anything else going when you don't have a running back who can consistently get you first downs.
Now, BJ Cunningham, Darius Bowman, Ernest Jackson, all of these guys have had nice games against Winnipeg, but the BC secondary was able to really shut everyone down last week in their win over the Alouettes. Do you trust any of them Friday night in Winnipeg?
That's a great question. Darius and Ernest with their success against the Blue Bombers has come with different quarterbacks. Darius with Mike Riley, Ernest Jackson for the most part in Ottawa. It's really hard to see what they can do yet because they haven't really done much. Ernest has kind of been a guy that we thought would be a good possession guy, and it's turned out that he just drops everything. Darius Bowman hasn't really. He's been there for a couple weeks now, hasn't really shown much. BJ Cunningham has the speed, but just with the revolving door at quarterback, it just makes it so hard to pick a receiver on this team.
Stefan Logan has been racking up the return yards since returning. He might be able to do that again against Winnipeg if you really are at the end of your lineup and you just need something cheap to throw in there. Let's talk about Winnipeg, who I think this is great. They introduced a $3 menu at Investors Group Field. It's going to start at this game and go the rest of the season. So you can get $3 hot dogs, $3 pierogies, $3 spring rolls, and a $3 chili bowl. Now they're also going to drop parking prices in the value lot right in half. Used to be $10. Now they're dropping that to $5 to fans that drive and park at the games. This is just awesome because pop now you can get a pop for $2.50. Some of these prices are absolutely unheard of in stadiums these days. So it's really refreshing to see something like this.
Yeah, my fandom is for sale, and it sounds like the Bombers are the leading candidate.
I'll sell out too. You're right.
Yeah, I'm a total sellout, let's be honest.
So the Eskimos are going to do something against Winnipeg next Saturday. Not only they're going to announce the Grey Cup halftime show, but they are going to have $5 beers and $2 hot dogs. Of course, that is one day only. Winnipeg's doing it from this point, I guess, going forward for a little bit. But I would like to see this at basically every stadium. I can tell you this year in Edmonton, I've been to every game except the preseason game. I have bought basically one slice of pizza. Because, man, it is against everything I believe in to spend $9.25 on a beer, to spend this on a cheeseburger. So if there are more affordable prices, they're going to get more money from my cheap ass.
And they do. I know you said that you broke up with the NFL, but Atlanta, when they opened up the new stadium, did this exact same thing. Ticket prices got a little higher, but all their concessions are dirt cheap.
And that's pretty cool at a brand new stadium.
Yeah. You can take your kids and, you can eat at the game. It's not like you have to, snack in the parking lot or make sure you eat something before you go. 'Cause, food is cheap. Pop is cheap. The beer, is reasonable. The trick is getting people in the door.
Yeah.
If tickets are going to be what they are, like, if you want to charge as much as they do for concessions, ticket prices have got to come down. We see it in junior hockey. Like, when I go to games in Lloyd, compared to when I went to Bonnyville was $5 more to get in, and the concession was more expensive. It's like, how does this make any sense? And you go to Lloyd, and it's $12 to get in, and food's not that badly priced. I've never had a bad rink burger, so I'll pay whatever for a rink burger, but if you can get butts in the seats with a cheaper concession menu, it's not a bad idea.
I was just going to ask you, best rink burger you've had?
Oh...
Lloyd actually has a good one, man.
That's good. Irma is really good.
Nice.
Actually, this is going to sound weird, but Consort, Alberta.
Really?
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. And just greasy, too. It was unreal.
And you know what? In Saskatchewan Place, SaskTel Center, whatever it is now, that's probably the biggest arena that has something that resembles a rink burger. Do you know what I mean? Because at the big arenas, those really aren't rink burgers. They're just whatever.
Well, no. Like, you go to Rogers Place, you can pay $15 for the Bobby Nix burger.
Yeah, that's not a rink burger.
No, that's not a rink burger. Is just a burger with some fried onions and some cheese on it, and then you can load it up with whatever else you want. And in Lloyd, they have like pickled onions on the side.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So yeah, I stink up the press box when I'm there.
I gotta say, the fries and gravy, I don't know if it's as good as in Lloyd as it used to be, and you're not a gravy guy, but
the fries are really good still, though.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. I gotta get get back home for a game, and see, this is what happens when food comes up on the 2-and-Out CFL podcast.
Yeah, we get sidetracked.
We are talking about Winnipeg and their concessions. Thumbs up to them. Thumbs up to the Eskimos. Hopefully, this is a new trend going forward, because you're right. Concession prices and ticket prices have steadily gone up over the past few years, and I think people look at a ticket, but they also look at all the expenses that go with it.
Yeah, like we went to Oiler games and we had company seats, but I mean, it's still a $200 night. Mm-hmm. By the time you eat, and you're not going to go and not drink if you get free tickets, right? So you have a couple beers, and beers are $11 a piece at Rogers Place. It's like, holy crap! So like, and then like you're saying, like, yeah, $9.25 for a beer at an Eskimos game. Sure, it's a tall boy, but to justify that, I mean, $20 gets you 2 beer, and then 10 minutes later you got to go back down and get 2 more. Well, maybe not everybody else goes down in 10 minutes, but I do.
Well, I'm the cheap guy that buys a $14 6-pack and drinks that in 20 minutes, and then I'll drink some more after the game. For the Bombers, Matt Nichols remains starter, and you have to assume that leash has to be real short in this one.
I don't even think there is a leash. I think his collar is being held.
Yeah, I agree.
If he throws a pick on that first series, he's done, in my opinion. Like, I get it. Mike O'Shea is loyal to his guys to a fault. It's starting to cost them football games.
Yeah, he's a player's coach, the very definition of that.
For sure. And I'm not saying that Strevler's going to come in and light the world on fire. But something needs to change. And Nichols is the first thing that it's the easiest thing for a coach to do is change a starting quarterback. He hasn't looked good, especially against the Riders. So something has to give.
They are a little banged up on the defensive side. It looks like Mo Leggett and Jackson Jeffcoat are still going to be out of the lineup for a little while here. The Bombers are going to be happy having Weston Dressler back. He's missed 4 games, and they've lost 4 games. Jamarcus Hardrick is also going to get back into the lineup Friday night as well. 2 welcome additions to that Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense. Are you taking anybody here? I kind of think that Andrew Harris, he's been struggling a little bit. Not struggling, but he hasn't seen the usage and since Labor Day anyway against Saskatchewan. So they're just coming off the bye. I think the old bell cow running back is going to enjoy that or has enjoyed that week off. And I've actually got Harris and Nichols in my lineup. As of right now, I should qualify that. But Darvin Adams has been the model of consistency in that offense this season, despite the problems at quarterback.
Not only Darvin Adams, having Weston Dressler is going to help out that entire offense, having a guy who's so sure-handed, especially on second down, to convert those 2nd and 3s, 2nd and 2s. Hardrick back is going to make Matt Nichols better, in my opinion. Just more consistency, more familiarity with his O-line. Darvin Adams is usually a really good choice. Catch anything. You can throw the guy open. He's got that speed. Has a nose for the end zone. And Andrew Harris, I mean, he'll run over anybody to get a touchdown. He'd run over his own mother, I'm sure. So with Harris, Dressler, and Hardwick all together again, throw Darvin Adams in there and Kenbrell Tompkins, if he's healthy, the offense does have a chance to score a lot of points.
Who wins Friday Night Football?
I'm taking the Bombers. You back a dog into a corner, it's going to bite. So they're going to be desperate. They need a win. They're at home. Coming off the bye, they need this one.
I got the Bombers, too. If they lose this one, then I don't
It's
know
not gonna
what's
be good.
next in Winnipeg. I know Strevler would be the probably the first change, but there would be more changes after that if they lose this game to Montreal.
I'm not going to name names, but it kind of rhymes with, like, Moshe.
Yeah, it rhymes with Moshe. All right, I can deal with that. Saskatchewan's in Toronto to kick off a triple header on Saturday. I love me some triple headers, man. So the Argos
Praying for a rain day. Praying for a rain day.
The Argos are 3-8, third in the East. The Riders, they've won 4 in a row, but lost last week to Ottawa. They're 7-5, third in the West, 3-point favorites here. I should mention the Argos coming off a bye. They are undefeated with Mark Trestman when coming off the bye.
Including playoffs.
Yeah, and that includes 2 games already this year, 2 last year, and yes, the East Final, where the Riders did go to Toronto and lose. Duron Carter is going to start this week as well, but let's start for Saskatchewan, where the stats have been talked about all week. 44% of Saskatchewan's touchdowns have come off of returns, and that includes defensive, that includes special teams. They have 9 of them on the season. The record is actually 12, set by the 1987 BC Lions. The Argo defense, they have left something to be desired so far this season. They're giving up over 307 pass yards a game, over 116 rush yards a game. So it hasn't been pretty so far for the Argonauts. And, I mean, if Saskatchewan's defense is going to score, then Toronto might be in a little bit of trouble here. The Riders also add Josh Gordon to their neg list. If you remember, all of these issues with Josh Gordon in the NFL started in Cleveland. Well, they really started in, I guess, college for the guy. And he was a teammate of Willie Jefferson's back in college. And Justin Dunk wrote an article mentioning that, yeah, they got in a little bit of legal trouble together when they went through a Taco Bell drive-thru. Willie Jefferson driving and Josh Gordon, I guess, passed out in the passenger seat. Sounds like a Brazilian Ty kind of night.
No, it sounds like Triple H's wedding. I don't like Taco Bell, so
you of all people don't like Taco Bell.
No. Like, you know what I put on my tacos? Just meat. Oh, I can do that at home.
I find it really hard to believe that Brazilian Ty would not like a chili cheese burrito.
It's just a hassle for me to go and get plain tacos, so I just avoid it at all costs. If 7-Eleven had a drive-thru, I would just be going around in circles.
I got to get some chili cheese burritos. You're missing out, man. That's all I'm going to say. So the Riders get him on the neg list. Of course, Josh Gordon was on Calgary's neg list about 4 years ago when the marijuana stuff started creeping into the NFL a little bit. And you know what? We've kind of, and we did ask the commissioner about this a few weeks ago, how are we going to continue to attract players to the Canadian Football League? And I don't think they're going to say it, but this whole marijuana thing happening in October might do it.
It can't hurt.
No, it can't.
So Josh Gordon got traded on Monday
To the Patriots,
so he's now with the Patriots. If there is one team that can turn him around, it will be the Patriots. So this signing this addition to the neg list means literally nothing. However, if he falters again and gets another year suspension, I don't know if another team touches him. And if he still wants to play football after that year suspension is up, then there's a chance he could come up here.
Yeah, and if there's one guy that can get him to the CFL, it's probably Chris Jones. And Willie Jefferson would probably factor into that. It's all what if, and it's all scenarios and all of that. But, I mean, he was close to coming to Calgary if they would have let him.
Yeah, and if he gets suspended again, because the next time that it's alcohol or illicit drugs, if he gets test positive for either one of those, it's a minimum of 1 year suspension. And we know that the CFL is going to uphold NFL suspensions. So it could be, if he fails another drug test and is suspended, it could be a while before we even see him up here if he does come. So let's pump the brakes a little bit, because I'm pretty sure New England's going to find a way to use him this year.
So I'm going to guess that you have Zach Collaros in your lineup?
I do not. Yet.
Did you say yet?
Yeah, I said yet. I mean, my mind might change between now and Saturday.
So I guess he averages 21 points against the Argonauts in his career, but that, of course, includes his time with Hamilton, which he has not played that way in Saskatchewan. Although, I still don't get it. That game against Calgary, there were no touchdowns, but that game against Calgary, they moved the ball a lot. I still don't understand how that happened.
Oh, because they didn't score touchdowns. They were Swedish. There was no finish.
Trey Mason, Marcus Thigpen, your options at running back. It's almost like a, roll on the dice here. Thigpen might be the higher ceiling option here, because they don't throw it to Mason, and the return game for Saskatchewan is just dynamite. So Thigpen is kind of that home run hope for your team.
Well, who knows? You might start off the game with 9 points.
Yeah.
Like you did last week. That was amazing. But, yeah, like Trey Mason, he runs between the tackles, and that's basically it. They don't throw him. They don't throw the ball to him, really. Thigpen, with the speed, and, he's able to catch those screens and those little flat routes and get yards after the catch. So that's huge. And the return game can really factor in there, too. So I would take Thigpen over Mason. But Mason, I think, will get more touches, but it's not resulting in a lot more points.
Yeah. There's Williams, Lambert. There is Roosevelt. There is Evans. Do you like any of them?
Nope. Because Zach Collaros is their quarterback, and I don't trust him at all right now.
It's really hard to trust Zach Collaros. I definitely agree with you there. Jordan Williams-Lambert had, 4 games in a row with at least 4 catches up until last week, so he seems to be the favorite receiver there. We know the talent that Naaman Roosevelt has, but he just hasn't been able to do it this year, and I think it's because of the quarterback play, and basically Brendan Labatt calling out the team again for their practice habits, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So somebody needs to step up on that offense, whether it's Rob Bagg or Brendan Labatt again, to get the rest of the guys going there. But they're just not getting it done. It's pretty embarrassing what that offense has been able to do. The fact that they are 7-5 is actually pretty remarkable.
Man, they have 11 offensive touchdowns?
Yeah.
And 3 of those are from Marshall?
A defensive player.
Yeah. Like, playing quarterback. Like, this offense is not good. I'm staying away from it as far away as I can.
So, Toronto, can we call him Toronto now?
I guess.
You have to assume he's going to be playing inspired this week.
If this is what it takes, then all the power to him.
So you don't think he's going to get anything done, do you?
Well, we're going to call it Toronto for 18 months, and then it'll be what? I don't even know what you would say for Winnipeg. I don't know how you work his name into Winnipeg. He's not going to be in Toronto in 18 months. We know that. I'm just using Winnipeg as an example. He'll be somewhere else, or in the American Alliance football or whatever it is that's going to fire up in February. Like he's not going to last in Toronto for very long, I don't think.
McLeod Bethel Thompson, there's your quarterback. James Wilder Jr., S.J. Green, Amani Edwards, Levi Noel. Do you like any of these guys in this one coming off the bye?
Coming off the bye, it's kind of tempting to take McLeod Bethel Thompson. However, he is playing against the Saskatchewan defense. But they have been giving up quite a bit through the air, and they haven't quite been able to figure that part out yet. I'm staying away from James Wilder Jr. Price point's just too high for this run defense that they have. But Thompson and with Green and Edwards, they seem to have worked up a little bit of chemistry. That's going really well. Armani Edwards is still relatively cheap. Averages 10 points against the Riders. He's good for 60 yards and maybe a TD, I think. So I would take a look at Armani Edwards, SJ Green for sure. Levi Noel, 5.8. He just seems to rely on those screen patterns and try to get yards after the catch, and it's just not quite working out yet.
I want to pick Saskatchewan in this one, but I'm not 100% sure. What about you?
I had Saskatchewan until you reminded me about Mark Trestman, so I'm taking Toronto 100%.
100%, no hesitation, eh?
Yeah. Yep. Mark Trestman off the bye. Riders' offense is terrible. I don't care if you use the elk. I really don't.
Well, I have to.
I know you do. That's why I said it. That's the only way I can describe them. It's awful. The defense should be able to handle McLeod Bethel-Thompson, but I don't know. The defense is going to have to score all their points. Yeah,
that's the thing here. If defense and special teams doesn't do anything, then the Riders don't go.
I'm not betting on Zach Collaros doing anything productive.
I actually think that this week might be the toughest pick'em week of the season. There is a good chance I'm going 0-4 or 1-3. I want to pick Saskatchewan, but mark me down for the Argos.
For now.
Oh, man. Feel sick saying that. I really could see this game going either way. Off the bye for now, put me down for Saskatchewan.
Oh, boy.
As we kick off that triple header. Could be 0-2 as we move on with the triple header. We're saying thank you to ATB Financial right now, and basically what they have here is Booster. It's a crowdfunding platform for small businesses. So an example here, you're a small cafe, you need a new espresso machine. Those things are pretty expensive. So you go to ATB and run a booster campaign. And basically, if people donate to you, there's some rewards you can offer. It's really cool what they do to support small businesses at ATB. So if you want more information on that, atbbooster.com. Booster is BOOSTR, atbbooster.com to check that out. We are in the second part of the triple header in Ottawa, where the 7-5 RedBlacks, first in the East, take on the 7-5 Eskimos. We're second in the West. The Eskies are 2.5-point favorites, and coming off the bye, Ottawa looking to make it 2 wins in a row here after that big win last week in Regina. As far as Edmonton goes, we should be seeing CJ Gable return to that offense, and I kind of like a lot of offensive options here in Edmonton for this game. What say you?
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Mike Riley, again, $14,000. I'm not doing it. Duke Williams hasn't had offensive output against Ottawa at 3.8, but he averages 15.5 overall. Bryant Mitchell, 18.4 against Ottawa. Kenny Stafford, 8.3. Bryant Mitchell outperforming his average against everybody else. Kenny Stafford right around his own average. I don't think you can go wrong with any one of those three. CJ Gable at 15.3. Just a punishing running back. And if they can get that running game established, it's going to help out the pass game. But yeah, I'm staying away from Mike Riley just cost-wise.
There is some real interesting stats on the Ottawa defense. They are the third best pass defense in the league. One of only 3 defenses giving up under 260 yards a game. Can you name the other 2, Brazilian Ty?
For under 260 yards a game?
Yes.
Calgary?
Yep.
And BC?
It's Hamilton.
Oh, I forgot about Hamilton. How do I forget about Hamilton?
219 yards a game is what Hamilton's given up. And
is that
there
good?
are only 4 defenses giving up less than 100 rush yards a game. And
I can name one of those.
Ottawa is one of them. And I'm sure you could name the other three.
Saskatchewan, Calgary, and Hamilton.
It's Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
Hamilton has the worst rush defense in the league.
Oh, good. I was gonna throw in Montreal. Maybe it was like a trick question because we would crap on them all the time.
So there are some crazy stats for you. So Ottawa may be a little bit underrated when it comes to their defense.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, look at who they've played.
Well,
is it that hard to hold Zach Collaros under 260 yards right now?
No.
No, exactly.
I don't know if it's hard to keep him under 150.
Might be hard to let him get 150. You have to try to let him get 150.
On the Ottawa side of things, oh my. I feel like I want to believe here, I feel like Trevor Harris could kind of pick apart Mike Benavides and his zone defense here. Powell has been playing great. Spencer had a great game last week. That probably means he's not going to do well this week. Greg Ellingson, Brad Sinopoli, I feel like those are all receivers that can find room in the zone defense. I know Edmonton's got Martese Jackson that should improve their return game a little bit, but I really like some RedBlacks players in this one too.
Well, Ellingson, big body, he can find himself room. Sinopoli, just sneaky good, especially in a zone defense. He's so slippery. And then Deontay Spencer's fast enough that he can outrun a zone. He can confuse a defender quite easily, running in between zones. And all three of these guys are able to sit down in the soft spots and catch football. And Spencer gets a lot of touches with the return game and stuff like that. So, either one of those three, very viable option. They all, Ellingson and Sinopoli averaged over 13 points against Edmonton. They average over 14 overall. Deontay Spencer, only 9.1 against Edmonton, but he averages 15.4 a game against the rest of the league. And William Powell, I don't know how much else we can say about this guy. He runs over everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a matter of Ottawa giving him the ball, and the more they give him the ball, I think the better they definitely do. Edmonton here, they're giving up over 110 yards a game on the ground here, so it's a good chance that Powell has himself a nice one.
Oh, absolutely. Don't be surprised if he goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns again, and maybe they actually give him the ball in crunch time.
Maybe that'd be an idea.
Yeah, and then don't screw over my fantasy team.
Because it's all about your fantasy team, isn't it?
It is. It's all about my fantasy team and my degenerate gambling habit.
You actually may have had the worst week that you ever had last week, didn't you?
Oh, we already talked about it. I'm not opening up old wounds. It's like the 06 Stanley Cup final. I don't talk about it. My dad is coming back. He just went to get smokes. My whole week. It was just a mess of a weekend.
I'm so sorry. No, I'm not. Who are you picking to win?
I'm taking Ottawa. Edmonton, I know they're coming off the bye, but they still got to go across country. West team going east kind of screws up the biological clock a little bit. And with that soft zone defense that Benavides likes to play, I just see Harris having a really good game like he did last week.
I'm going to take Ottawa 2 here, and this whole week of East versus West games makes the week very, very interesting here, and I could actually see these games going either way. Mark me down for Ottawa. Like I said, if I go 0-3 or 0-4, I would not be surprised at all, and I might change that pick actually. So,
of course,
yeah, I change everything. We wrap up the week in BC. Hamilton 6-6, second in the East. Go to BC at 5-6, fourth in the West. They currently have that crossover spot right now, and there was a rumor. I don't know if it was a rumor or somebody falsely falsely tweeted out that the Calgary Stampeders could actually clinch a playoff spot if the Riders beat Toronto this week. But then they sent out a correction saying, nope, nobody can clinch a playoff spot this week. So, yeah, BC currently in that crossover spot. They've only lost once at home so far this season. That was against Saskatchewan. Hamilton seems to be playing better and better, and this is the first of a home and home in this one. BC, 2-game winning streak, but we start with Hamilton, where it has been confirmed that Alex Green will not be playing this week. As soon as John White gets on TSN CFL Fantasy, earlier today I was checking, not in there, but BC's rush defense has actually dramatically improved in the last few weeks. But this is how close the rush defenses are. I don't even know if you really want to count it anymore. So Hamilton is the worst. 117.7 yards against a game. BC is fifth, 108.9 yards a game. So it's like 8 yards a game.
It's like a first down.
Yes, that's basically the only difference. And when we're looking at it, it's like 0.8 fantasy points if we're going just by yardage. So the rush defenses in the CFL are very, very close, but BC is slowly creeping up that ladder a little bit. John White's going to be real cheap when they get him on the website, so I will not have a problem getting him in my lineup at all, because at this point of the season, it seems like everybody's expensive.
Yeah, it's getting a little crazy. It's getting a little tough to make a lineup some weeks, but yeah, John White, I don't see him being over $4,000, and just a really good RB2 option for sure.
And Brandon Banks is questionable again with the groin injury. It looks like Thursday's practice is going to determine whether he's going to play this weekend, because he hasn't been on the practice field at all yet. And if they're without Brandon Banks again this week, and the way the BC defense has been playing, I don't like Hamilton's chances all that much.
No, and he is able to turn a 5-yard pass into a 90-yard touchdown, and that is huge for an offense. And it gives Masoli just another weapon where, it's a quick pass, it's a 3-step drop, and it's out of his hand. And, every time he touches the ball, it's a possibility to score. He only averages 7.4 against BC, which is a pretty low. It's only half of his average against everybody else. But Luke Tasker averages 18.5 against the Lions. And, Masoli and this, either whether it's Tasker or Banks have they've gotten chemistry just coming out of every orifice since Masoli took over as a starter in Hamilton last season. And Luke, like Brandon Banks, maybe not the speedster, but just is able to turn big gains off of small catches.
Yeah, he may be the only Ticats player outside of Masoli that you want to consider this week. We go to BC, where Travis Lulay will not be placed on the 6-game injured list, but is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. You assume if the Lions are in the playoffs, Lulay will be their guy. But Jonathan Jennings averages over 20 points against the Hamilton Tiger Cats in his career. And when he came into the game last week, it just seemed like there were glimpses of that 2016 Jonathan Jennings. Maybe he wasn't feeling the pressure and he was just going out there to play, and maybe it was because it was Montreal. He went 19 of 30 for 180 with a touchdown and an interception. Yes, that is one for the Montreal swear jar. And Jennings really, they didn't connect on anything deep against Montreal last week, and that kind of seemed like that was what he was trying to do nonstop earlier in the season and last season. Just blindly throw it 60 yards and hope Burnham or Arsenault can come down with it. But do you like starting Jennings at all this week? I with how expensive players are getting, you almost have to take a little bit of a risk when it comes to quarterback.
Let's just say I like him a lot, as just a little precursor for when we announce our lineups.
$5,680. I like it.
He's cheaper than Manziel.
Why? They just put Manziel at 6,000 for no reason.
Yeah, and they don't have John White on the website. So you tell me how this thing works, because I still don't get it.
Jeremiah Johnson over the last few weeks, it's kind of been like, okay, this is cute. When's he going to have a big game? This one might be his big game. He's been averaging 15 points, over 17 against Hamilton. Maybe this is the time he gets it done. Now we kind of got to figure out who Delvin Breaux is going to be covering in BC, because quarterbacks are afraid of him in real life, and I'm getting to be afraid of him in fantasy.
Yeah, a little bit. He shuts down everybody he goes against. So
looks like he goes against
lightly.
the boundary receiver quite a bit. So,
yeah.
and that would be DeVere Posey, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So, DeVere, your second game in the lineup. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, have fun with that.
But that should open up room for Collins, who's had nice games, for Burnham, who had his first 100-yard game last week.
Oh, absolutely. You can't have enough options on offense, and you can only double so many guys. It's going to leave somebody open or in single coverage, and if you're able to exploit that, look out. So
I think this is another real interesting game in that triple header, even though these are all East versus West matchups. Who do you got?
I am taking BC. Hamilton coming from that Eastern time zone. It's going to be 10 o'clock their time when this game kicks off. Or no, it's going to be, it'll be 10 o'clock when this game kicks off. I like, this is what BC gets for home games, as late games against opponents that aren't in their time zone, because nobody's in their time zone. So their clocks are all screwed up. BC, I think, wins this by at least, I think it goes double digits, because they're used to this. Hamilton's going to be dragging ass.
I don't know when your bedtime is, but a 10 p.m. start
like
time would be me at my best.
Like the Oiler game last night started at 9:30, and it was like, nope, not happening.
Oh, you try to get me to exercise before 8 p.m., you're getting nothing.
Ugh. Try to get me to do anything before noon. You're not getting anything. Except maybe work.
Maybe work. You can kind of half-ass that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Lions as well, but I think it's going to be closer than you think it is at BC Place on Saturday night. Who's in your fantasy lineup? Because this week's weird to me, man.
Well, I have Jonathan Jennings, Andrew Harris, Jeremiah Johnson, RJ Harris, Brian Burnham, SJ Green, and the Argos defense.
Man, you got an interesting lineup. The Argo defense, eh?
Well, I mean, they're playing turnover Collaros. I mean, why wouldn't I take them?
Turnover Collaros.
He's a turnover machine. It's embarrassing.
So I have Matt Nichols.
Of course you do. Speaking of turnover machines.
Andrew Harris, Jeremiah Johnson, Brad Sinopoli, Bryant Mitchell, Kyron Moore.
I've already changed my lineup, so we might have to do this again.
Like, since you just said it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And I've got the Bomber defense.
Okay, I don't hate that.
They're expensive. They are the second most expensive defense of the week, so you're going to pay for them. Mm-hmm. But, hey, old Johnny could come throw one of those Johnny specials, 4 more interceptions, and I'll be laughing if I've got the Bomber defense in there.
Oh, yeah. And maybe 2 of those get taken back, and you end up with 30 points.
That's what I'm counting on. My defense to be the highest scoring member of my team this week.
Yeah, speaking of high scoring defenses, I know it's NFL, and I know we talked about it last week, but my fantasy team, I was losing by 60. I hold the record for 61, winning margin for 61 points. The guy I was playing was like, oh, if your defense gets negative points, I could take that record. So I sat my defense, and they scored 19 points.
Well done, buddy.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Defending champ, everybody. Defending champion.
We are a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. If you're kind of a nerd like me, check out the technology and gaming section. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be excited to talk about that PlayStation Classic. You can also check out the Northern Nerdcast. I love that. They're talking about the nerdy and geeky people and events in and around Edmonton. Dan and Chelsea are your hosts for the Northern Nerdcast. Brazilian Ty, what's the forecast looking like on Saturday there? Are you going to be able to watch the triple header? Because here in Red Deer, it looks like we got a snowy day and 1 degree.
We're supposed to get half an inch of rain tomorrow, and it's supposed to be nice Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday it's supposed to rain all day.
Nice.
So fingers crossed that I can just eat McDonald's and toffee all day Saturday and watch football.
So for our American friends in Red Deer, that is a high of 34 Fahrenheit on Saturday.
Yeah.
But it warms
warm.
up to 64 Fahrenheit / 18 Celsius on Tuesday, so that's going to feel like a scorcher.
Yeah, because, the metric system doesn't make any sense being based on zeros and tens.
Hey, I thought this was figured out in like the 70s.
Yeah, there's only 3 countries in the world that use the miles, and the States is one of them.
Hey, I think our American friends would like to go to the easy. I don't want to speak for them.
But it does screw up our surveying because everything was surveyed in imperial and now we're in metric, so that kind of screws up with roads because every road is a mile apart, like grid roads, right? But all of our odometers are set to kilometers, so it's kind of screwy there. Except my old truck. My old truck was in miles because I bought it from the States.
But we still do football in yards.
Yeah, but it's like 96 centimeters.
Oh, okay, so it's real close.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, enjoy the games. I hope you get to watch them, and I hope it rains for you.
I hope it pours and I just get sent home.
Back to Lloyd?
Yeah, I only got a 32-inch TV in this bedroom. I need my 11-footer.
That was a big tube TV, not so much flat screen.
No. I'm surviving.
Okay, buddy. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. We'll be back Monday morning talking about everything that happened in Week 15.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.